Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Empowerment Through Encouragement. And the idea of these podcasts this morning on Thursdays is to talk about ADD and how to counter ADD and heal it, and the power that we have within our own capacity to make a difference and make a change in our own life. And I'm joined again with my co-host, Dr. Mendy. And Dr. Mendy, how are you today?
Good morning. I am fantastic. And I love the title of this show. When I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Eliminating the cause. There's so much to that title alone. So I am super excited to chat today. There's so much behind that.
Yeah, it is. It is whenever we're looking for something rather than chasing a symptom. And this is what we've been programmed to do. We've been programmed to chase symptoms. We've been
Yeah.
programmed to chase pain. We've been programmed to chase whatever it is that surfaces rather than what is causing that. It's
Yeah.
kind of like I had a leak underneath my sink. And so I put a bowl underneath there
Yeah.
and the bowl overflowed. So I put a bucket underneath there, and I thought, why not just get a bigger bucket, right? And the bucket overflowed, and so I got a great big bucket, a great big bucket. I took everything out of the underneath the cabinet, and I put this great big bucket underneath there, and it still
Oh,
overflowed. And I had to ask myself, what in the world is going on? Why can't I buy a big enough bucket to catch this water? Right now, I'm a carpenter. That did not happen. Okay. But this is what we do. This is what we've been trained to do. Try to get a bigger bucket to
right.
contain the thing that's leaking rather than just tighten whatever is loose
Yeah.
or repair whatever is loose, replace whatever is causing the problem. If
Right.
there's a hole in the pipe, don't get a bigger bucket.
No.
Replace the pipe. It's easy. It
Yeah.
really is easy. You may have to pay a plumber to come and do that. But in the long run, you buying bigger buckets and mopping the floor and replacing the carpet and all those other things that go along with just avoiding it cause
Yeah.
greater damage, greater harm, and create a less than happy, productive life. So,
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely. Yeah, great analogy. I love that. And just to even get to the bigger bucket, bigger bucket, bigger bucket, it takes time and it's a process. And there's a lot of frustration involved in that. Just trying to take care of the symptom when actually you could have spent all that time and frustration by just replacing the pipe or whatever. So
exactly.
it's an easier solution most of the time to eliminate the cause, but having the wisdom to know what the cause is. But like you said, get help. Sometimes we
Right.
can't do it on our own. We don't have what it takes on our own. So get help from the right person. And that's what we're here today to do is just to really encourage folks, encourage everyone to, find out, get help, seek out who you might need to talk to get to the root cause of what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. There's a verse that talks about wisdom comes through the counsel of those that have experienced. And when, we can't know everything on our own.
Mm-mm.
My gosh, I wish I would have known then what I know now. But here's the thing, since I now understand it and have a better grasp on it, I make these changes.
Yeah,
And, it is elimination,
yeah.
it is replacing,
Hmm.
um, not removing what's beneficial for us. And that's where the key comes in.
Yeah.
And we had several questions, great questions that came in on the last episode where I talked about the elimination diet, and I really want to go further with that. And I know one of the questions was, what do we replace this with?
Yeah.
Okay, so removing glutens, it's not that difficult.
So talk about that. What is a gluten? How do we take that out of our diet? What are we looking for to remove a gluten?
Oh, you would ask me the scientific question about what a gluten is. I know that here's and this is and I love this. I love this candidness because I was not prepared to answer that question. Okay. What is a gluten? Um, but what do we find in our flours?
Yeah.
What do we find in corns and soy?
Yeah.
What do we find in breads and cereals?
Yeah.
These all have glutens in them. So
Yeah.
when we're looking at labels, we want to look to replace that product. So I know somebody mentioned that when I mentioned oats, they were
Yeah.
depressed.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my gosh, I can't even eat my oats. Well, there's gluten-free oats
Yeah.
and non-GMO oats, and they're organic certified
Yeah.
and they're third party tested.
Yeah.
So when I understand that some of the diseases, the dis-ease that I'm experience,
Yeah.
it's an unsettledness in my body. That's what all diseases are. They're an
Yeah.
unsettledness and a disconnect in my body with the chemicals that I'm bringing in. So when I'm looking for foods, I'm looking for gluten free.
Yeah.
And you know the app that I have, and I've shared it with everybody, and I'll share it again. The Yucca,
Yeah.
YUKA.
Yeah.
You can scan the barcode and it will tell you on a scale from 0 to 100 where it falls.
And it's hard to get to 100 on that, just so you know.
Yeah. And it also gives you replacements.
Yeah.
So, you know, in this short segment,
Yeah.
I'm not able to have the capacity to tell you everything that you can replace it with, but you can replace cheeses with nut cheese.
Wow.
You can get non-dairy cheese.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are some of the things that being creative, you know, um,
I love that. Actually, and I think that's huge right there because when I again, what's causing the inflammation in your body is what's causing the disease, and that's a result of the food. So coming off of that particular type of food. And it is a search and find operation, honestly, because you're searching for something that you can still have in your diet but yet at the same time is not causing that inflammation or that reaction in your body that you're talking about. So, when I was going off dairy, trying to get to almond milk, oat milk. I mean, it is like, let me try this. Let me see if I like it. Let me try this brand, see if I like it. Let me try this brand, see if I like it. Like
exactly.
it really is a search operation for you to really figure out. And then it takes time for you to figure out, is my body responding well to this? So I love dairy, the cheeses. That's always been a hard replacement for me. I've tried to cut back more as well. So yeah, it is a process of, and you have to be willing to embrace that change, right?
Yeah.
Everybody hates change. It's the bottom line. But in order to move forward, there were a lot of things I had to do if I wanted to feel better, have more energy every day with less inflammation in my body. I had to make that change. So I had to come to that realization. It is a mental mind shift as well. So embracing that and in order to move forward is huge. But I love exactly what you said.
Yeah, and I love the way that you brought it up, the search and find. Okay, so if we gamify it,
Yeah.
I mean, we love games, right? I mean, when we were little kids, playing hide and go seek with our parents. You
Yeah.
know, my children would play hide and go seek, and you put your hands over your eyes, and like they can see through their hand,
Yeah.
and but they're pretending like you can't see them, like they
Yeah.
really believe that, and it's a gamify. So what if you gamified your shopping?
Yeah.
And okay, little Johnny or little Sally is going to be really ticked off when you pull the Fruit Loops or the Lucky Charms. I mean, my gosh, how can you live life without Lucky Charms? Because, all those little things in there, those marshmallows, the Lucky Charm, how could I survive? But
Yeah,
what we
I wasn't
don't,
a big Lucky Charms, but I was a huge Captain Crunch fan.
oh, yeah.
It took me a
Oh,
long time.
yeah.
I think I did Captain Crunch through college, like,
Yeah.
that's when I got
All
through
the red food coloring, all the blue and the yellow. Oh my gosh. Talk
we
about
didn't even
red.
know then it was a
Yeah.
bad thing,
Yeah.
really. That didn't even occur, so
And that's just it. So the idea to gamify it and say, hey, listen, if you can find a healthy alternate,
yeah.
then I'm going to reward you with something else.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
Okay. Now, it is being creative. It's using our creativity, and one of my key sayings is that imagination is the only limitation
I
to
love that.
transformation.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah.
You know, if you expand your imagination, transformation takes place. And it's, the idea behind transformation with our health and with our food and with our physical experience, whatever comes out is a reflection of what is going in.
Yeah.
So it's unfair to ask a child to behave
Right.
if we're feeding them fuel that
Yeah.
is suboptimal and creating the result that we don't like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so good. That's good. Even as adults, we put
Yeah.
things in our bodies that are not good for us. And so even as an adult trying to take that away, to eliminate that, it's a hard process,
Mhm.
for children or for adults. So being, I guess, slow to do that. I know we've talked about before, just one thing this week. Just look at one thing this week. Because I know when someone said to me, Mindy, I really think you need to eliminate dairy in your diet. I was like, no, 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 no. So that's my best friend. Like, I love dairy. And so, it's small incremental steps to adjust your mind and then also to adjust where's the search and find. Okay, if I can't have this, I've got to go find this. So yeah.
Yeah. So, and I love our conversations, and this is not scripted or anything. So I love the idea that it is, um, what I had a thought that it is, okay, that little child inside of us. It's
Yeah,
difficult.
right.
Okay, so the elimination is difficult because there's a little child within inside of us that's throwing a temper tantrum and saying, "I want the ice cream."
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I,
me.
yeah. I want the panini sandwich with the butter and the processed meats and
Mhm.
all of the tasty gluten stuff that's just in there. And there's so many different things that make that soy oil taste really good,
I
you
know.
know. But
But
it
here's the good news about all of that is now, like when I hear you say that, like I'm still into ice cream, sorry. But when I hear you say about the panini, whatever, like I'm beyond that. You know what I'm saying? Like some things when you get beyond it, like
right,
even if you say it or see it, it's not going to impact you. I mean, that sounds kind of weird, but there are some things I've put away in my life that I
right,
don't do anymore and I'm fine with it and it's good. So I'm just saying you can get to this place. Same for you, right? I'm sure there's a lot of
exactly.
things that
Oh
you
my God, yes.
throw away and it doesn't even bother you. Like I can't even have that processed meat because I don't want even want it anymore.
Yeah. It's loving the foods that love you back.
Yeah.
Because there were things that I ate that I loved that they did not love me, and they didn't have any adverse, like, reactions, but what they did was they caused cognitive, weakness that I didn't even realize. And you don't realize the incremental changes because they're so micro.
Yeah.
And and it is that micro, like if you took grains of salt and put it on the counter, you wouldn't be able to see one.
Yeah.
You wouldn't probably be able to see 10. But now when you start to add them together, now you start to form something and you begin to see that. It's the same thing that takes place in our body.
Yeah.
And it is eliminating those foods, and it is elimination diet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah. What was your first step?
First step was 20, gosh, 24, 25 years ago. I heard a preacher talking about fasting,
Wow.
and it rocked my world because it's not taught.
Yeah.
Now, not only is it a biblical, a spiritual, but it is even if you're not in a religious environment, you are a spiritual being. Okay.
Yeah.
And when we can create a place that gives us greater strength, it's going to cause a little bit of discomfort, but it's a greater result. So when he talked about this fasting, talked about a biblical fast, which is a Daniel fast,
Yeah.
and it is no meat, no dairy,
Yeah.
no sugars,
Mm-hmm.
just fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as soon as I heard it, the very next day, I started a 10-day fast.
Wow.
Now, I jumped in both feet, cold turkey, just like over the top.
Yeah.
And I experienced it in my own life. And
Yeah.
when I wasn't even in brain health then,
Yeah.
but I experienced a freshness in my mind, in
Wow.
my energy, in my skin tone,
Yeah.
everything.
Wow.
And the
Yeah.
radiance was so much different. And it was like, why wouldn't I teach this? So I began to teach it, and people were throwing a fit because they'd never
Yeah.
heard of it.
Yeah.
And now I do these fasts regularly. It detoxifies the body.
Yeah.
And when you detoxify,
Yeah.
just so you know, when you're ridding yourself of the poisons, and I'm going to call them less like they are, they're poisons in your body, they're contaminants.
Yep.
Your body's going to fight. You're going to get headaches.
Yep.
You're going to feel aches and pains.
Yep.
You may get a little constipation. Okay.
Yep.
Let's just call it like it is.
Yeah.
But what is the end result?
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law went to doctors from the time she was 16 to 26, and she had irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. She's probably not watching this, and it doesn't matter. But this is a true story. Irritable bowel syndrome. And we did this fast.
Yeah.
And on day 6, she's like, nothing's happening. And then just a few hours later, she called me back and she said, hey, I got to tell you, I've been going to the bathroom pretty regularly.
Wow.
What she found out that she was gluten intolerant,
Wow.
dairy intolerant. Now, she grew up on a farm.
Oh my God.
Okay. So and they would eat ice cream each night before they go to bed. Now, she's a very healthy girl.
Yeah.
But she discovered that it was a lactose intolerance that was causing some of this.
Wow.
So there is not a time when I don't have a conversation, like go up to the farmer's market and talk to people that are selling micronutrients and gluten-free bread and sourdough bread, with 3 ingredients in it.
Yeah.
And ask them why they chose to do that. And they'll share the story that somebody in their close family was having difficulty, was having problems, was having brain lapse at a young age. When you do this elimination diet, you remove and you replace.
Yeah.
And make it fun. I was never a guacamole. Like you smash food up, it just did not look like something I wanted to eat. And I had a best friend whose family was they were Spanish, Mexicans. And they made homemade salsa, and I learned how to make salsa and guacamole.
Yeah.
And one day I decided, I was in my early 20s, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to try this because I'm sick and tired of being presented with this guacamole stuff, this mashed food kind of stuff.
Right.
Once I took my second bite, it was like mind blow.
Wow.
It was, I have guacamole in my house constantly.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's understated too, is just like you say, going to the farmer's market. I mean, the price can be comparable, especially this time of the year. Everything's in abundance right now. And not only that, but told my husband the other day, he's like, I stopped at the farmer's market. And I was like, oh, good. Let's support our local farmers. This is so important right now, is to
Right.
make sure that in our communities, we're supporting our local farmers. I mean, we're getting a lot of cucumbers, tomatoes, things out of the garden, peppers, which are great for creating these types of foods. But honestly, I love the fact that our farmers are there. And then, even in the winter months when we don't have this abundance, there's still ways. I personally do a lot of canning, but there's still ways to continue to get those organic fruits and vegetables that won't break the bank.
Yeah. And one of the things that if you want a healthy snack, you can create a trail mix. And I have personally bought. Now it's a little pricier, but is it pricier? What is it doing to my body? So there are organic milk chocolate or dark chocolate, organic dark chocolate chips, baking chips, and they're third party tested. So there's no lead, there's no cadmium, there's no mercury, there's no
Yeah.
heavy metals.
Yeah.
Third party tested, they're organic, and you can put that in with sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds,
Yeah.
um, other nuts.
Yeah.
And if you're nut intolerant, like I cannot have nuts, I'm allergic to them, so like I just swell up. I put different cranberries. I'll
Yeah.
put dried cherries. I'll put dried um begins with an A,
Apricot.
apricots. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I have a lot of smoothies. So these are the things that I discovered that I could replace it with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that because this time of the year is also blackberry picking season. A friend of mine just got a bunch of fresh blackberries, and that is just like I think you talked about, like just put those things in the freezer.
I do.
Then you can hold them for your smoothies and stuff, and then
Yeah,
you're naturally organically getting all that good food.
exactly. And when we're talking about the cost,
Yeah,
I want to bring this point up. When we put my son on ADD medicine,
yeah,
the brand that worked well best for him was Vyvanse, and Vyvanse was $376 every single month. Now, I did not have insurance that covered that. Now, that's an
wow,
every month $376.
wow.
So when you divide that up by a month, let's say there's 30 days,
That is actually 12.53
a pill.
uphill.
Okay, so you going and buying a Happy Meal
That's
that,
less.
that creates less than happiness, and now you counter it and you put a $12 pill in your body every single day.
Oh
And
my
the
gosh.
fact of the matter is it's a controlled substance.
Oh my
So you
god.
can only get 3 months prescription, and then you have to have another doctor visit.
Oh
Now,
my
a
god.
doctor visit, a doctor visit was $175 each visit. You meet with the guy for 5 minutes. He
Yeah.
asks the same question. How's it going? What's your prescription doing? That's it. Not what are you eating? How
Yeah.
much fluid are you getting? What kind of fluid are you drinking?
Yeah.
How much sleep are you getting?
Yeah.
None of those questions are asked by a general practitioner. None of
Yeah.
them are asked by a most doctors. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just going to go out on the limb and say that. All right. I've talked to other doctors that they know that the medical field only has to have a few hours, minimum, few hours of nutrition in their entire medical studies.
Wow.
That is alarming.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going down that rabbit hole. That's where my ADD kicks in. Okay. So, but what I want to say is that I could have taken that $12 a day and changed the way he ate
Yeah.
and created a healthier, happier, more well-balanced chemistry going on in the body. The resource, changed the result.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful right there. And again, that goes back to what we put in the show notes today, which is pay now or pay later.
That's it.
And my brother and I say that constantly. And I've had to say that to my mom, like, you can eat this and pay now, or you can buy organic now. Because, back she was raised, her mother was in the Depression. She doesn't want to pay a lot of money for her food. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, well, you're going to pay for that. So you might as well buy the organic, find things that you like, pay the price now so you're not paying later. And I think that's so important, a mind shift that we need to have. Like, you don't need a lot of times too. Like, your quantity doesn't have to be a lot. I feel like we get a lot of quantity of the bad foods. We probably don't need that either. But just a small amount of very good things can go a very long way.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the truth. You're going to pay.
Yeah.
So you choose what is the result. If you pay a little bit more, you're going to get longevity out of your life. It's not adding years to your life, it's adding life to your years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Now
there's a
let's
lot
talk
of
about,
people.
yeah, how do we help moms and dads get their kids on board after they've kind of adopted this lifestyle? We come to this aha moment. Then, like, how would you get your son on board with all that? Because most kids at that point are going, "Oh no, I'm not eating this organic."
See, I did not know all of this when they were young.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I
I
did
don't
not.
even think it was out there by
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that point.
And what I want to say, in the last 4 years, there has been a brain revolution.
Yeah.
There has been an awareness about brain health. Now, maybe it's just me. I
Yeah.
don't know, but because I attend all these webinars and these doctor summits that are holistic, and they're doctors who have left the practice, doctors who have taken their hypocritical oath and they've said, hey, there's got to be a change. And I've got the education and the understanding about the biology, and I have the capacity to help equip people to make better decisions.
Yeah.
And so I attend these. So I get all these, like, I get emails, probably 10 a day, on a new brain health or a new brain awareness or a new brain something.
Yeah.
And being involved under Dr. Daniel Amen, that's who I've been certified as a brain health coach, is that understanding what I put in my mouth is affecting my brain.
Yeah.
And, one of the simple things that you can create a lot better results is, what are
Yeah.
the calories that I'm intaking?
Yeah.
And what is that doing to my body? My brain, which
Yeah.
is 2% of the weight of my body, absorbs 20%, 20 to 30% of the calories that I take in.
Yeah.
And
Right.
if I'm bringing in bad calories, then I'm getting bad fuel to the CEO of everything that I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, my son has a girlfriend that is more vegetarian.
Oh,
And so he's trying different foods.
well,
Now,
that's
this is what love will do to you. It will make you do things that you wouldn't normally do. So if you want the girl, okay, or you want the guy, you bring them into, you adopt them into, you don't force them, but you
Yeah,
adopt them into a different setting.
yeah,
Okay. So how many people would take their date, um and I don't I'm going to reframe that. I'm going to reframe that. Most prom goers will extend their budget on
yeah,
a nicer setting than they would on a normal occasion.
true.
Now, if we'll treat our date for one night to a nice meal dressed up, what would happen if we did that on more than just one occasion?
Yeah,
Rather than celebrate once or three or four times a year, why not celebrate 300 days a year
yeah, yeah,
and allow yourself? Now, let me go on the record and say this. We're going to have the events and the
yeah.
treats are going to be there. Okay.
Mhm.
So allow yourself 5, 6 days a month where you say, you know what, I'm allowed to have the chocolate chip cookie because I know that I'm going to go and I'm going to see those chocolate chip cookies and I'm going to see them. I'm going to see them. And my mouth is, I'm just drooling already, right? Buttermilk cookies. Like that's my weakness.
Right,
Right.
right, right.
So allow yourself
Yeah,
the 4 or 5 days or 6 days a month, but don't add them up. So if you say, well, I didn't have my bad day last week and I didn't have my bad day last month, I'm just going to carry it over and then I'm going to eat garbage for 30 days. I'm just going
right.
to collect, right? Then you're going to be toxified. You're going to feel
Yeah.
the pain of that.
Yeah, you are. You're gonna feel the pain of that. That's a good statement, whether you realize it or not. And when you're young, you may have some things going on and you
Mhm.
don't realize it's your food, but as you get older and you start to figure it out, that's huge. So helping to train our young people in that particular manner, helping them to understand, even with my sons, somehow we didn't do the best growing up, but somehow with the whole culture shift towards healthy eating, they do pretty well now. They both love fruits and vegetables. But again, I agree with you totally. Our culture has shifted. I think we went away for a bit of time, because in my grandparents' time, everybody ate out of the garden. Like you
Mhm.
ate out of the field, you had whatever, local cows, whatever, like you ate out of the field. But then we shifted into this process. Moms are going to work somewhere around World War II. Moms are going to work. Everything becomes processed. We got to hurry, 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 hurry. And so now we see the shift now towards no, 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 no. We've realized that's not really good. Now let's shift to understanding how to live this fast paced life, but also how to cultivate our diet so that it is taking in the good food. And
Yeah.
I applaud moms for doing that. I see a lot of young moms. I was in a homeschool co-op, and every child in their lunchbox had microgreens, vegetables, seaweed. I'm telling you, there is a movement of young moms who are raising their kids to
Yeah.
eat healthy so that their bodies will never experience the inflammation or disease, so to speak.
Yeah. My question, and to come back around to that, or the question that was presented, is who's buying the groceries?
Yeah.
Who is the one putting their credit card or the cash to the cashier?
Yeah.
Okay, it is going to be a little bit of work, but who created that?
Yeah.
So when we introduce our children to the foods that are not healthy for them,
Yeah. Yeah.
it is, I have to take that responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And responsibility is just this, the ability to have a response.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not to fight with them. It's not
Yeah.
to create an argument or a scene or to give in. but it is to say, hey, for a period of time, this is what we're going to do. And
Yeah.
then if you do the 21 days, what that really allows your body to do, really
Mhm.
allows your body to
Yep.
detoxify, reset,
Yep.
and your taste buds change.
Yeah.
Your chemistry changes.
Absolutely.
You know, you have a new body, even though you don't realize it. You have new skin every 6 days. You have
Yeah.
new cells every hour. There's cells that are being totally wiped out and being replaced. You don't see those things,
Yeah.
but when you begin to integrate and you begin to go, you know what, for 21 days, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to have Fruit Loops. We're not going to have Lucky Charms. We're
Yeah.
not going to have Pop Tarts.
Yeah.
We're going to have more wholesome food. We're going to have no processed. We're not going to have seed oils. We're not going to have Crisco and, you know, the veggie oil. There's no such thing as veggie oil. Okay.
Right.
Um, in a clear bottle, sitting
Yeah.
on a shelf under fluorescent lighting, it's gasoline inside the body.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And what can I do that would make a difference? And then begin to integrate some of those things, like begin to integrate back in food that
Yeah.
has like dairy, breads, and watch slowly watch. Don't add them all back in. But when you start to see the triggers and when you start to see hey, this is not good,
Yeah.
the behavior has gone south again, we're eliminating it.
Yeah.
That's when you take the power back, and you're not a dictator, but it's for the protection of your own health and your child's health.
Yeah. Absolutely.
They're going to throw a fit, but who's the adult?
Yeah. 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 I love that. And even when my kids were growing up, I knew we had some bad habits. And one of my sons, we traveled a long distance. I was teaching school and they were in school with me. And we traveled quite a distance to get to our thing. And on the way, he would always drink a Dr. Pepper. And we had to fast that out of our diet. Like we all realized there are some bad things going on that we need to do better. And I wholly advocate the fasting to break the habit
Yeah.
addiction in your body. So we would and it was multiple times a year. We didn't just do this one time. I would say, okay, for the next 21 days, we're not going to have any Dr. Pepper. But then once we broke that cycle, then we were able to step into the next. And then maybe the next season up, I'd say we did it 4 times a year in order to continue to
Yeah.
break those bad habits out of our diet. And honestly, that's one of the ways that I was able to kind of curb some of those very bad things out of my life. Because other than doing that, I don't know that I had enough willpower to just stop on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Without making it a concentrated effort. Like, no, 21 days, I am not going to have this Diet Coke, whatever, to pull that out of my life. So that fasting, that mental mind shift is super huge. I highly advocate that. And continuing to do that in your lifestyle at least 3 to 4 times a year. I don't know how much you do it, but
Yeah. Yeah. The once a quarter is always a
yeah,
great suggestion. And if you actually look into medical, not spiritual
yeah,
documentation, they they medically recommend that you do a detoxification once a quarter.
yeah. That's
So
awesome.
when we understand that, in I'm gonna just say the name Hershey's, how much lead and cadmium is in a Hershey's candy bar.
And bugs. American
And
chocolate
bugs.
has the most bugs.
Just the metals alone, metals create brain fog, Alzheimer's, and dementia.
Yeah,
Save yourself the heartache now.
yeah,
Eliminate those things and replace them with healthier products. Yes, it's going to cost you a little bit more in the long run, but
yeah,
make it a treat. Make it something that is desirable,
yeah,
and in the long run, you're going to be happier because of it.
yeah, absolutely. And another piece of advice on that is order it online. If you're just going to the grocery store, you're probably not going to be able to find really what you need to feed your body well. So do the research and be a friend to online ordering. I know a lot of organic foods, we have to get them online a lot of times just because they're not in your local grocery store. What you really need, especially chocolate wise, yeah, I have to order that definitely, because if you give in to, I'm just going to grab this out of the grocery store, it's probably not going to be the best product for you.
Right.
So knowing what those foods truly are, if you don't have a specialty organic store near you, or able to get that, definitely make the effort to get those things online.
Yeah, and real quick, 20 years ago, I'd say you probably didn't have the access to a lot of health organic
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
But today you'd be hard pressed not to find a town that doesn't have an organic natural food store. And here's a thought. If your town does not have one, then start one and
Yeah.
be the one that makes the money.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a novel idea?
Yeah. That's awesome. Yep. Changing people's lives.
Yeah. You got some business advice today too.
All right. Woo! Great show.
Yes. Okay. So just to cover it, this isn't prison.
Yeah.
It's opening the possibilities for the probabilities to have a greater potential in the long run. And it's not removing just for the sake of removing, it's replacing for the sake of your brain, of your health, of your circulation.
Yeah.
And making healthier choices and integrating them and gamifying them so that you can have fun doing so.
Yep. Absolutely. So go do one search this week for one thing that's just going to feed your body well.
That's it. All
Yeah.
right.
Awesome.
Well, have a fantastic week, outstanding, and live healthy and add life to your years, not just years to your life. We'll see you next week.